Welcome to Two Broads and a Brit. It's not great, but it's entertaining.
Seriously entertaining.
Seriously entertaining. I'm Lynn Hartram. I'm here with Lee Hazel.
Oh, young man.
And Caitlin Greer.
Oh, young lady.
Young man. Oh.
That was a rare treat. I was, I normally go third, didn't I?
I know. I switched it up.
So I can make fun of you, you fucking piece of crap.
So this week I get the silver medal rather than the bronze.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
You know what?
We gotta share it.
I always get the gold.
You do.
What a
You do actually.
Okay, next time I will,
This bitch right here. That's fine. I don't want the gold. We all know I'm not a winner. I'm a wiener, not a winner.
Wiener.
It's very true.
It's a young man.
Oh, young man.
Favorite new catchphrase. Young man.
Shit.
All right. So it's October.
It's Cocktober.
Nice.
October.
You can bring everything back to a penis, can't you?
Everything. I swear to God, it's because I should have a penis.
Penis envy?
I have wicked penis envy.
I do not.
I really wish that I could.
I can mail mine over to you.
Ooh, I mean,
I'm not
it'd be weird though, because then I would have to
I'm not using it right now.
It would be really.
I'll loan it out to you, Kate.
It'd be really weird because it would just be like,
one careful owner.
what do I do with it? Just like running around like, I've got Lee's wiener. Smacking people in the face with it.
Oh, mushroom stamp for you. Mushroom, like it's a wand.
I would like Harry Potter. I'd be like, Expelliarmus, smack.
No, you'd be more like that fairy cock mother.
The fairy cock mother. I used to call myself the connoisseur of cocks.
Nice. Classy.
Oh, God. I love how Lee's like, when he doesn't know what to say and he's thoroughly appalled by one of us.
No, not bad. I've got fucking standards. I've hardly got standards, have I? Let's be honest.
You're a lady from the Manipur, Kate.
I mean, if we're friends, then you have zero standards. You are a friend. No friend of mine has standards.
Mm-mm.
So back to Cocky Cocktober.
No. No. We can. No. I refuse.
Can we call it Rocktober?
Rocktober?
No. There's so many.
How about we just call it October?
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So it's October.
So we decided for October, in honor of Halloween, we're going to do spooky episodes.
What the fuck?
Ooh,
I'm shaking in my boots.
I know.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
So Lynn's going to lead the way. Right?
Yes.
What have you got, Lynn?
Alrighty. So
What's up your sleeve, Lynn?
okay. So Caitlin and I, for those that don't know us and where we live right near Salem, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Come find us.
Yeah. Hey.
Now I've been to Salem.
It'll be a bad time.
Yes.
Now I've been to Salem.
Yes.
Lovely place.
It is lovely.
You do like it. Salem
Lovely
is
place.
One
Lovely
of the only
place.
places in the world that Lee loves.
Yeah. They have
No.
fine. Yeah. Lee loves us.
Welcome to Salem, Massachusetts. Lee Hazel approved.
So that's an endorsement. You can use that as an endorsement.
Lee Hazel
I really love it there. It's lovely there.
It is awesome.
Yeah, you're waiting for a punchline. There's no punchline.
No, I
really
know.
liking it.
No, I'm glad that you like a place.
Yeah.
No, it is nice. Yeah.
Salem has a very different. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been to the Salem Witch Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's creepy.
good one.
Yeah.
With the freaking wax figures.
And
And the guy getting stoned to death. It's my favorite.
Oh, I'm going to talk about him.
Hey.
Oh, cool.
I'll show you what I've got. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
Literally 10 seconds.
Please leave
Okay.
Good
Good time in 10 seconds.
Sometimes Lee forgets it is a podcast. Oh, he's got a
nice.
Salem Witch Museum. Is that a magnet?
Yeah, fridge magnet. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is that so? It's a cat and a witch and a cat. Is that what it is?
Witch and a cat.
Yeah,
Witch and
nice.
a cat. Salem Witch Museum. Yeah.
For those listening to the podcast who can't see it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I paid. I think it's the princely sum of $3.
I was going to say it's probably overpriced, but yeah, $3.
Yeah.
$3.
No, I actually stole it from the gift shop.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, you have to save a bit of money now and then, you know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Every little helps.
You steal shit, I'm going to take you to the Chop Chop Shop.
Chop Chop Square.
Chop
Chop Square.
Damn it! I always wanted to open a salon back when I was ambitious and call it the Chop Shop.
Chop Chop Squat.
I wanted to be called the Chop Shop. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good name. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I found out that there was a salon named the Chop Shop. And I was like, nah, I don't have any ambition or motivation. So I'll just think about it until I die.
It'll just... But you've put it out there now.
But I do have I'm sorry, I'll tell you more about it later at a different time, but I do have a great business idea about a strip club called Jurassic Park. And that's all I'll tell you.
Jurassic Park.
Yes. I have a detailed business plan, but now's not the time.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Or call it the titty twister.
What'd you say?
The titty twister.
The titties. Oh, that's a good name. My sister used to want to open up a sex toy place called the Pink Taco. She wanted to have a sex toy shop called the Pink Taco. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do it.
That's a sound idea.
Come on down to Taco Town.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
No. All right.
Reel it apart.
Okay. Reel it back in.
Back to Salem.
Back to Salem. All right. So some people who are listening to this have never been to Salem.
Mm-hmm.
Salem, as everybody probably knows, is famous for the witch trials. In 1692, they started. And so when you go there now, it's very commercialized to some respect.
Touristy.
Quite a bit. Yeah, very touristy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, Salem has kind of like reclaimed the witch persona, I guess you could say. And so they embrace it, and everything has witches everywhere. But there's definitely a particular vibe in Salem. Like, it's just, there's...
Good place.
It's a little like, it has, there's a little like spooky feel to the air. Like there's something there. Definitely. I would say. I don't know. What about you, Lee? I mean, I go there all the time.
I really like the place. And I'm not just saying it because you live by it, but I've been there twice before. And then when I stayed with you and Bill, you took me back there. But I really like it. But I like it. It actually reminds me of not too far where I grew up. I grew up near the Wimbledon tennis courts. Mm-hmm. So in the same sense that Wimbledon Village is a tiny, tiny little place.
Yeah.
2 weeks of the year, it goes nuts.
Right, yeah.
And Salem's similar in October. Everyone congregates to this tiny little place.
Yeah.
To celebrate Halloween. It reminded me a lot of Wimbledon in that sense.
Yeah, it's
but it's a great place. You can't not have fun there.
Yeah, it is.
Just even if you don't even buy anything, just walking up and down, and you can spend a fortune there.
Oh yes. You
can. But it's I love the place.
Yeah, I spent a fortune on booze in Salem when I was younger.
Nice.
There's a lot of good bars in Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were. I don't go out anymore because I'm old and retired. So I've retired from that lifestyle. But I love it. It was a lot of nights.
It's good vibe there. It's good
vibe. Is, yeah. And it is in October. It's like witch Disneyland. Like it's it's crazy. It's full of people. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I like.
Yeah, they're all in costumes and stuff, and it's
just people come. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the locals here like kind of avoid Salem in October just because it's so crazy.
Right.
But I go like I just eat it up. I love
favorite human being throughout the entire month of Salem in like who's always there is the guy with the God signs.
Oh,
the guy who is covered in like Jesus loves you.
Yeah, he was there.
Those signs, and he's got he's like yelling at people like, "You're going to hell."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, dude. I already know. I'm dressed like a slutty pencil, and you're gonna tell me I'm going to hell? Of course I'm going to hell. Look at that.
Yeah.
Sharpen this.
Yeah, there's always.
Well, he was there. He was there when me, you, and Charlie were walking around.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
I love him. I respect
Well, I presume
him.
it's the same bloke, but
No, it probably was.
But you know what? It takes a lot to like really believe in something so much that you're going to go scream at people in the street, while you're covered in signs about it. You're
Nashville
on the street,
or you're just ignorant.
Yeah, Nashville was the same.
Well, crazy.
Yeah, he's just
Nashville. When I was walking up and down Nashville on a Saturday night, there was a guy doing he had fucking speakers and a microphone and everything.
Well, that's in the Bible Belt, so.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but Salem, he's one man on a mission. Actually, sometimes in like October, there's 2 or 3 people that do it.
They team up.
They've ganged up.
Tag team.
They take turns.
Okay.
All right. So today I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the ghost stories from Salem.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's got a lot of ghost stories to it.
And really scary.
And a lot of these places are places that you can visit. So they're either, houses that are now turned into museums that you can go into, or they're just stores that are reportedly haunted that are in Salem. All right. So as we said before, the Salem witch trials started in 1692. I think there were about 200 people altogether that were accused, but 19 people were actually killed for it, all by hanging except for one Giles Corey, who was pressed to death.
Good old Giles Corey.
Giles Corey was the fucking man.
He was.
Go on.
Okay, so... So we could get into a lot of stuff about the witch trials, but we won't because that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But we all know that it happened. Okay. Some of these people do come into play. The 2 that we're really going to be talking about are Giles Corey and Bridget Bishop, who was the first woman who was hanged as a witch.
Right.
Okay. So Giles Corey was initially a supporter of the witch trials. Did you know that?
I did not.
He was. In fact, his own wife was accused of witchcraft, and he testified against her. I mean, during the trials. He did. Poor Martha.
I've gone off him now.
Yep, Martha Corey. Then what happens? Giles himself gets accused of being a warlock or a male witch.
Yeah.
Now, at this point in time, Giles is like, whoa. I think there's something wrong with these witch trials. This is craziness, right? So he doesn't want to do it. And I think he probably had a little guilt at that point in time about testifying against his wife, who was executed. Right. She was hanged.
Right.
So Giles then took on kind of a new stance, obviously, and he would not enter a plea of innocent or guilty. And one of the things that they did, there was a sheriff, what is his name? Sheriff, I want to say it's George Corwin.
It says Corwin.
It is Corwin, but there's 2 different Corwins. So I think it's George, but I think that he comes up later in one of this in my notes. So Sheriff Corwin was known for his torturous delights.
My man.
Yes. So he liked to torture these accused people to try to get them to admit to being a witch.
Confess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now Giles, has been through quite a lot. He had testified against his wife. He, got caught up in the hysteria of it. His wife is executed. He's now been accused. And he is like, nope, not going to have any of it. Wouldn't enter a plea of innocent or guilty. Just refused. Went silent. So Sheriff Corwin was like, nah, not going to have this. So what do? They put him down on the ground, on his back, put a wooden board over him, and start piling on giant rocks. So they're basically pressing him or crushing him.
He's like a panini.
He is. It's called now the Corey panini.
Now there's a man who's going flat out on the job.
So they kept trying to get him to admit to your guilt. And the only thing that Giles would say, do you know what he said? More weight. Yes. And reportedly, it got to the point where he could barely speak, barely breathe. His eyeballs were bulging out of his head because there was so much pressure on him. There's more weight is all he kept saying. And before he died, it's reported that he said, "Damn you, I curse you and Salem," to Sheriff Corwin.
Okay.
So he placed a curse on the sheriff and Salem, the town of Salem, for what they've done.
Yep.
Now, 4 years later, and then he died. So he was never convicted, but he died from the torture, basically.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit
Well, that's the thing with Giles. He was pressed into everything, wasn't he?
He was.
You know, I read somewhere, I think it was in the handbook, that you're not supposed to get stoned on the job.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, poor Giles.
Go on.
Okay.
If only he was a bit more bolder.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm here all week.
Winner, chicken dinner right there.
Oh my God.
All right.
Okay.
So what happened?
So he
I should laugh at my own jokes, really, but there you go.
it's all right. I do it all the time.
Right.
All right. So 4 years later, Sheriff Corwin suddenly dies of a heart attack.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
So Giles' place is cursed. Now,
What?
for 300 years, the sheriffs in Salem have suffered from either heart problems
Yep.
or blood disorders.
Yep.
And this is documented.
It's
they have.
true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, go ahead.
It could be because they're spending too much time in Dunkin' Donuts, Lynn.
This
I
was
think that's just you.
free Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts.
Well, you know, they are police officers after all. I mean, police like donuts, don't they?
Sorry,
police officer.
Oh, that's a well-known fact in America, isn't it? Police like
Protect
donuts.
and serve.
That's right. I do get a kick when I see a kick out of it, like when I see a police officer in a donut shop. But
Yeah, there
I
you
don't
go.
think it's the stereotype. They just like donuts are delicious. Everyone likes
Who doesn't
donuts.
like donuts?
I mean, come on. You're a freak
Right.
creature if you don't like a donut. All right. So, yes, strong feelings about donuts,
Passionate
I
about
guess.
donuts.
Fucking hell.
Who knew?
Lynn Hartram, passion.
Blimey.
Donuts.
Who knew? Not me.
We're finding out things,
Right?
discovering.
Right? Ooh.
You're a bit like Giles's wife. You're a bit highly strung.
Oh. No.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. Yes.
No, I think it's funny.
Nope.
Let's laugh at other people's misfortunes. Sorry,
Nope.
that's how I
Okay.
deal with things. Go on.
All right. So
Sorry,
in
Lynn.
19 that's okay. In 1991, the sheriff's office was moved from Salem into another town called Middleton.
Yep.
And since then, no sheriffs have suffered from any heart issues or blood disorders.
So goodbye.
Maybe there was something to it. Giles Corwin.
Wait.
Right. Damn you.
Oh, wait, darling.
There you go. That's
Oh,
probably what
my
it sounded like
darlings.
at that point.
Yeah.
Wait.
He was just
Oh, my.
Jackie. Yeah. Okay, so now the next place we're going to talk about is a fairly well-known one.
Mhm.
This is the witch house.
Yep.
And the witch house was actually never owned by a witch. However, it's the only remaining building in Salem that was around during the time of the witch trials.
Yep.
And yes. And the name comes from the former owner, Jonathan Corwin. And Corwin was a judge who presided over the trials. And he was there and, directly responsible for sentencing 19 people to the gallows.
Put that on your CV.
Right?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the house was rumored to be built in 1642
Mhm.
and was the Corwin home for many years through the mid-1800s. So the Corwins stayed there for quite some time. So although it wasn't related to any of the witches, the Corwins had, there were a lot of deaths in their family.
Okay.
So trying to remember how, the short story is basically they had 10 children in all, and
Ew.
8 out of 10 of these children died.
That's a fucking blessing.
Blimey.
I'm sorry. That was impressive. Really sorry.
Oh my
But 10 children
10 children. yes.
sounds like a living hell.
right. Yeah, I agree. It's
Right.
10
Yeah.
children in 1692.
right. Well, you had to.
Yeah.
They had to work.
Ugh.
They couldn't do all of
You
it.
can't just give them your phone either and be like, go fuck off and play fucking
Yeah.
Fruit Ninja. Get out of here. Not interested. Anyways.
Oh my God. Okay, so the Corwins, they remained in the house. Mr. and Mrs. Corwin remained in the house, and both died in the late 1710s, around the same time as the remaining adult children passed. So the entire family
Right.
died
Oh,
out.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people just died then too, right?
Mhm.
Like that was during a time where
Well, people didn't live that long. back
didn't
then,
live
did they?
long because the medicine was still kind of like
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you want to hear a fun fact about, sorry, I'm going back to
Do.
Sheriff Corwin. I forgot to tell you this, and Giles Corey. So during his torture, the lovely the lovely church in Salem excommunicated him.
Fun.
Because it was on grounds of one of two things. One, he was either a witch, or two, he was guilty of suicide for not entering a plea during the torture.
Right.
So because of one of those two things, they excommunicated him during this torture. Yeah. Now, after Giles Corey died, Sheriff Corwin attempted to extort the remaining Corey family. Now, keep in mind, these kids had lost, I think they were adult kids at this point because they were older.
Right.
I think Martha was like 70 when she was hanged.
She was an old hag.
Yeah. So Sheriff Corwin tried to extort the remaining Corey family by threatening to seize the family estate if they didn't pay him money. And they, out of fear, complied and paid him £11, 6 shillings. And in order to do so, they had to sell off farm animals and other belongings that they had. Now, in 1711, the Mass legislature passed a bill, and I was trying to find the name of this bill, and I couldn't find it, clearing some of the names, including the Coreys, and they paid restitution for their imprisonment and death. But Sheriff Corwin was obviously a dickhead because not only is he, put both of their parents to death, basically. He's now coming to them and saying, you need to pay me or else I'm going to seize your property. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, he's a total
1692.
wanker.
I don't know.
I like the term wanker.
He was a wanker. So Giles is reported to be haunting Salem. A lot of people have claimed to see him.
Oh, okay.
Or bad events have happened. Like there was a fire in Salem I can't remember when it was. 1914. And many people reported seeing what they thought was Giles Corey right before the fire. So, and he may show
just
up,
like kicking around or like laying down.
Right. Right. So, Giles just hangs out. There's one corner that's believed to be where he was pressed to death. And it's actually on the corner of a parking lot now because,
Well, we walked past it, didn't we? Me, you and Charlie were walking back to the car.
Yeah.
And then there was a tour guide. And you said there was a lamppost or something.
It's like right on the corner there, yeah. And it's across from a church, and it's across from what's now like a municipal building that is also reported to be haunted. But anyways, so going back to the witch house. Sorry, that was a jump backwards. So the judge, Jonathan Corwin, different Corwin. I don't know if they're related. Wouldn't surprise me. Sounds like a shitty family.
Yeah.
So anyways... So his house, so they, 8 out of the 10 children died young. He, his wife, and the remaining kids died around the same time. Only about 18 years later. So not too long after the witch trials concluded. So now many investigators have gone to the witch house because it's the only remaining structure associated with the witch trials.
Right.
So what's reported is the spirits of the deceased children are thought to exist in the property, and they've made themselves known by touching and projecting their voices. Sometimes the temperature will drop. Cold spots, cold drafts, gushing within the rooms have also been experienced. People have also claimed to have captured strange figures on photos, on film. Yeah. So there's definitely some activity going on there. Cool. Yeah. So they don't know exactly who it is. Okay, now moving on. The Joshua Ward House. Retired Sea Captain Joshua Ward had built his brick mansion in the late 1780s.
I don't know why a sea captain makes me laugh, but it does.
Oh, Joshua.
Joshua
Good old Captain Ward.
Captain Ward. I'll say it in your British accent, Caitlin.
I can't do it.
No. Okay.
Go on, Caitlin.
Now, during the 1680s, the land that this house was built on was reportedly owned by the notorious Sheriff George Corwin.
Bum, bum, bum.
It all comes back. So he, I failed to mention, also got the nickname the Strangler.
Oh, he sounds like my kind of guy.
He sounds like a lovely bloke.
Yeah. Yes, well, he was a charmer.
Yeah.
So, after Corwin's death in this says 1697. Oh, right. Because it's confusing that they're both named Corwin. So when George Corwin, the sheriff, died in 1697, so the Joshua Ward House is built on the land that they own. So his house would have been there, right?
Okay.
The sheriff's house. when he died suddenly, the family interred him in the cellar. So basically they kept him in the cellar. They buried him in the cellar because, one, it was too cold to bury him. Mm-hmm. And two, they were worried about the Salem residents dismembering him and doing God knows what with his corpse in revenge for the part that he played during the witch trials.
Dismembering him and being like, I've got his leg!
I've got a leg!
I've got a leg! Just making a necklace out of the toes.
Right, yes. Do you like my
It's quite inventive.
finger ring?
No.
It's his pinky.
You like it? It's a Colwyn.
It's Colwyn. That's amazing. I love it. Okay, so now several ghosts now reportedly haunt the Joshua Ward house now, including George Corwin himself.
Okay,
is believed to be there, and old Giles Corey.
Good old Giles Corey.
Yes. People claim that.
My darlings, Mom. Yeah, keep it coming, darlings. Keep it coming. It's getting a bit toasty now.
You call that a stone?
Poor Giles.
Smash it.
All right. So people have seen both of them. And there's also an angry ghost of a woman with wild black hair. And she's believed to be another one of the victims of the witch trials, but they don't know who.
Okay.
But that's kind of what people think.
I have a quick question.
Yes. Yeah.
Has anyone done like a seance at this house?
I'm sure they have.
At the Joshua Ward house?
Probably.
Do they do tours and stuff there?
It is a museum now, so you can go through it. Cool. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know, but it's Salem, so you can buy a spirit board or a Ouija board on any corner. So.
Yeah, I was just wondering if something like Ghost Adventures or what you actually can in that place.
No, Ghost Adventures has not been there. They have gone to the witch house.
Ghost Bros?
Ghost Bros. Yeah. Hashtag Ghost Bros.
I love Ghost Bros. I don't give a fuck.
They're hilarious.
They're like, oh, witch house, dude, bro, witch house, ghost.
Every time, Ghost Adventures, little tidbit. Every time I'm watching that show, and they do entertain me because they're just so,
I love it.
Dude, they get so animated. And every time my husband walks in, he's like, me too. He's like, dude, someone just touched my nuts. Like, same thing every single time, and it still cracks me.
Zach Baggins, isn't it?
Yes.
He tries to antagonise them, doesn't he? He's
he's always like, I'm gonna be so respectful. I'm respectful, and then he gets in there, and he's like, fucking punch me. Yeah. I'm coming for you, ghost. And then they're always like, it's aggressive.
Yeah, and then he'll be like, Aaron, go in there.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Honestly,
Aaron, you go in.
Love that show so much. So hashtag Ghost Bros.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so many people believe that Giles Corey's curse, which condemned Sheriff Corwin, has basically it cursed the spirit to wander the earth for eternity.
All right,
maybe. Who knows? Right. Okay, now moving on to the House of Seven Gables. So this house is famous. What's that?
I've seen that house.
Yeah. Have you? I've never been into it. I have been to it.
But I went to like a field trip when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's a museum as well now, I believe, right? Yeah. You can do tours through the house. So this was built by another sea captain, John Turner. Well, Salem is right on the ocean, so it was a port town, right? So John Turner built it in 1668. And 3 generations of the Turner family lived there before it was sold. And then the new owner, another captain,
God damn it,
Samuel Ingersoll, eventually left the house to his daughter, Susanna, who was the cousin of Nathaniel Hawthorne, who wrote The House of Seven Gables. Hence, people have heard of it. So sometimes it's also known as the Turner Ingersoll Mansion, I believe, or house. So he visited there many times, and that's what inspired him to write The House of Seven Gables. So today it's said that Susanna's ghost can still be seen wandering the halls and looking out the windows. Strange sounds are heard, and the ghost of a friendly child reportedly lives in the attic. Ugh. I read some reports where they say it's a boy. I don't know.
Kids and like alive kids, so I don't.
So dead really kids freak you out?
No, they don't freak me out. I just I'm not interested. Like fuck off, little ghost. Come back when you're a grown-up,
right?
Actually, it's creepier.
Now go out and play Knockdown Ginger.
Yeah,
right.
Fuck off, little piece of crap.
Some people get more creeped out by the kid ghosts.
Like in movies and stuff, it's always
a demon
when it's a kid.
Because it's always a demon in the movie, like,
yeah.
But anyways, so Hawthorne wrote of the house, it was itself like a great human heart with a life of its own and full of rich and somber reminiscences. Reminiscences? Whatever.
Remnants.
No, remnants. Like, okay. We're smart. Okay. You could not pass it without the idea that it had secrets to keep.
People had so little entertainment back then too.
It's true.
Yeah. They must be fucking piss bored most of the time, mustn't they?
Oh, I'm so into this. I just looked at the paper. I'm ready.
Speaking of entertainment, the next one is Bunghole Liquors.
Good old Bunghole Liquors.
What?
It is the name of a liquor store.
There's multiple locations.
Yes. There's one in Salem and one in Peabody.
There's multiple bungholes.
Oh, hang on. So is this an off license?
Is it what?
Is it an off license?
What is that?
Liquor store.
Yes. It's a liquor store. Yes. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it called Bunghole?
Bunghole Liquors. Now, a bunghole is actually a term. I think it's like for whiskey barrels or something, or wine or something, where they can
I'm not mature enough. I'm not.
All I can think of is Beavis and Butthead, because
TP for my bunghole.
Yeah, the Great Cornholio.
I am the Great Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole. Yes. Okay, but anyways, they claim that the funny name actually comes from the liquor store's Prohibition history.
Okay.
So back then it was a funeral home, and the owner ran a speakeasy in the basement where the dead bodies were embalmed.
And he kept the liquor in their bungholes.
Maybe.
That's where you put the tap.
So they said the slang for the secret drinking spot was bunghole, as in, will I see you at the bunghole tonight?
I am not grown up
That's
to have that.
If ever you need one.
It is, yeah. It is good. Okay, so I'll keep going, Caitlin.
It's more entertaining listening to this or watching Caitlin's face as it undeveloped.
It's a lot.
Okay, so during the time of Prohibition, and they had the speakeasy, I guess it's rumored that one of the regulars said to the owner, hey, if this is ever lifted, you should open up a liquor store here. And that's exactly what happened in 1933. It became a liquor store. Today, it's said that spirits still lurk in the store. A female ghost roams behind wine racks. I can talk. And a feline ghost haunts the shop.
Cat?
I have a ghost cat.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you get a saucer of milk every night, can't he?
Ghost cat. Ghost cat. Ghost cat.
Ghost cat.
So funny. I don't know why ghost cat really fast is really funny, but it is. Ghost cat.
Oh my God. Okay.
See you later, bunghole.
We're done with the bunghole.
I'm never done with the bunghole. I am. I'm done with the bunghole. I don't want it.
No.
I
Okay.
don't like it.
Moving on.
Okay.
All right. Wicked Good Books.
All right.
Yeah. This is a bookstore.
No.
And yes.
You don't say.
I know.
What's the name of the store? What's the name of the shop?
Wicked Good Books. It's right on Essex Street, which is the main kind of like cobblestone street that has all the shops on either side. It's like the main one downtown.
Right, okay.
It's down there. It used to be called Derby Square Bookstore. Mm-hmm. And during renovations, tunnels were found beneath the store, which
nice.
Connected to a warehouse in Derby Square. So it's reported that the tunnels may have been used during the Underground Railroad. Time of the Underground Railroad. That's what one person said.
But I have a question.
Yes.
Why would they need to have tunnels this far up?
I don't know. It's rumored.
False.
Okay. But anyways, it was also thought that smugglers used these tunnels too, because there is supposed to be a tunnel system beneath Salem.
Right.
And so because it's a port town, they could have stuff brought in on the ships and then smuggled underneath the town in these tunnels.
They smuggled it right in my bunghole.
Yes. And now another Yes. Another rumor is that investigators discovered evidence of human remains inside the tunnels.
Yum.
Yeah. So what's reported there?
My patio.
There you go. Yeah, they would find them there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So reportedly, books fly off the shelves, and many patrons have seen shadow figures or apparitions hovering in corners.
Fun. It's like the beginning of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When they come out yeah.
Drivers at the register.
It's I love Ghostbusters. I'm so sorry.
It's a good one.
It's excellent.
Yup.
There's a ghost blowjob in that movie. So,
oh goodness, that's where you gotta go with it, I guess.
a glow job.
Oh God.
Oh no. Okay.
Silence, Jesus.
Awkward
And
silence.
a hush falls over the crowd. An awkward silence is a victory for me.
I know.
I was waiting for you to say something then, but
Yeah.
you were waiting for me.
Sometimes you just got to let it get weird.
So Caitlin does this thing where she'll say something really awkward, and then she sits back
And
Yes.
just let it get
and
weird.
enjoys what happens.
Other people's discomfort is my comfort. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Caitlin. Yeah, you thrive on it. Yeah.
Yeah, sick. I love it. I love when people are actually uncomfortable by words because it's just words.
Right.
It's not like anything else. So it's so funny just to watch people squirm around when you say weird shit.
Yeah, but words create images in your head.
Yes.
So that's what you're thinking about.
And you like to make it real sick.
Maybe the more uncomfortable the person is, the more sick these images have been.
Hello, therapist? Yes, I need you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I need a therapist.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. So now we're moving on to the Hawthorne Hotel.
I love the Hawthorne
It
Hotel.
is. It's a beautiful hotel. It was built in 1925, and it was named after Nathaniel Hawthorne, author of The Scarlet Letter and The House of Seven Gables. It was built on an apple orchard that was owned by Bridget Bishop, who was the first woman who was hanged as a witch.
Yep.
Right.
The Hawthorne Hotel is known to be one of the most actively haunted places in Salem. Many visitors to the hotel have made claims to smell apples throughout the hotel, despite there being no apples on the menu. And a female apparition has been seen roaming the halls. Now, many of the employees believe that this is Bridget Bishop who is haunting it because this was her land at that time.
Yeah.
People have also reported lights flickering. In room 325, people report hearing a crying baby.
I'd be so mad.
Right? Like, yeah, I'm trying to get some sleep.
Baby ghost, somebody feed that baby ghost.
Give her an apple. Yeah. Feeling the touch of an unseen hand and seeing the water taps turn on by themselves.
Cool.
And over in room 612.
It's quite a big place then, isn't it?
It is a big place, yeah.
It is big.
In room 612, the ghost of a woman reportedly stares at you during your visit.
Like, so rude.
She's like,
so rude.
Right?
Listen.
What, in the room? In the room? Just
in the room, yeah.
Imagine though, you're just like you check into your hotel and you want to do all the dirty things that everyone does in a hotel room. Because you treat a hotel room disgusting. You are. Whenever you go to a hotel, there is no holes barred. You do things in that room you will never do anywhere else. And then imagine doing all that and the ghost is like, I see you, little dog. I see what you're doing to that fucking bedspread. Don't put a black light on that.
Okay. Thanks
welcome.
once again. Thank you. Okay. Now, speaking of Bridget Bishop.
I was actually going to say something. It was a lot cleaner. It was a lot cleaner than that.
Go ahead.
But,
let's do
No. I was just going to say, she's obviously, when you said, do things in the hotel room, it's like, I'm presuming you're not thinking about leaving biscuit crumbs on the carpet.
No,
sir.
No.
I've demolished a hotel room or two in my day.
Exactly.
And not in that like 1980s hair band kind of way where you're like smash TVs. In the other disgusting way where you're like a prostitute, but you're not. I'm not a prostitute. I don't want to take that back. Take it back. Go on.
Okay, moving on. Turner Seafood is a restaurant.
Really?
Yes.
It's haunted?
It is.
Cool.
So
seafood restaurants.
It is a seafood restaurant.
It's really fishy.
So this
didn't want to laugh at his own joke.
I crack myself up. Yep. Okay, so this restaurant also sits on the land that Bridget Bishop owned.
Okay.
So she had quite a bit of
owned
land. She actually was a really interesting figure. She was a very strong, independent woman. She owned her own land. She ran her own restaurant. A bar. I'm sorry. I think it was a bar.
The Beyonce of her day?
She was.
She was
the queen bee.
Get hung for being witch.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
And she was reportedly a very pretty woman.
Okay.
And so a lot of the men were attracted to Bridget. And one of the theories is that's part of the reason she was accused of being a witch. Is because the other women were intimidated by her.
Too hot,
and too like independent. She didn't need a dude. She was kind of like, I'm going to do my thing. So that's what she sounded like too. She'd be like, bitch, please, I'm going to do my thing.
I'm an independent woman.
That's right.
I don't need no man.
Mm-hmm.
That would be brilliant though, wouldn't it? If you went back in time and they all spoke like that.
They're like,
okay, amazing.
Honey, who do you think you're talking to? Bitch, witch, please.
Witch, please.
Which?
Yep. Okay, so according to local legend, the restaurant is haunted by a woman in a long white dress from the 17th century.
This bitch is haunting a lot of places.
She's a busy girl.
Yeah.
She's been everywhere. I mean, she's like, I was number one, bitch.
Yeah.
I was the first. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, don't you forget.
So, and that kind of goes along with her personality from what is reported. You know, she was just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to be who I am.
Yeah. So
some have seen her reflection in mirrors.
Cool.
Yep. And they believe she also messes with the electrical equipment in the restaurant. Poltergeist activity has also been witnessed, objects flying off of shelves. And some claim to feel that they have been touched or pushed by an unseen entity. So if Bridget don't like you,
back the fuck up, bitch.
That's right. Yep. All right. Another place you may not know is reportedly haunted is Cinema Salem.
Really?
Yes. There's a little old movie theater. I've never been in it either.
Okay.
And I have seen this on a couple different ghost shows. The last one that I remember was Haunted Towns.
Okay.
And they, went around to different places in the U.S. and they went to Salem. And one of the places they went is in Cinema Salem. So it's an independent movie theater that's located on East India Square. And according to the staff, the place is definitely haunted.
Cool.
A former manager says that while in the projection booth one night, he saw a man in black Victorian era formal wear sitting in theater number 3.
Okay.
There was no movie playing and the cinema was otherwise empty. So he went downstairs to ask the man to leave because it's Salem. It's possible someone was dressed like that.
Right.
Yeah. By the time he arrived, the man in black had disappeared.
Aww. I think he was just embarrassed because he was overdressed for the movie.
He was like...
he didn't even have any popcorn.
He did not. He
had to go get his...
Maybe that's where he went.
He needed Skittles, M&M's, and popcorn.
Twizzlers.
Ooh, Twizzlers.
Twizzlers and peanut M&M's. That's what I'd be going for.
Yum.
Okay.
Candy.
There's all going on in the town then, isn't it?
Yes. There's more. There's more. Oh, and I don't even have all of them listed. I have 2 more that I'll discuss. But yeah, there's a lot. The Old Burying Point, one of my favorite places in Salem, is one of the oldest. It is the oldest graveyard in Salem and one of the oldest in the country. It was established in 1637. There's actually someone, little tidbit, there's someone from the Mayflower buried in the Old Burying Point. From the Mayflower.
Thank you.
Mayflower.
You're like the Swedish chef.
Send me from the Mayflower, buried in the Burying Point.
Where's that place that you took me to in Salem where it's got... I don't think it's a graveyard, but there's all stones with the victim with the victim's name.
It's right next to it. You're thinking of the Witch Memorial. The cemetery next to it is the burying point. Yeah.
Cool.
So yes, it is a memorial because we don't know where the witches were buried or discarded probably. So they did make a memorial next to it, but the Old Burying Point is that cemetery that's right next to it. So none of the witches are buried there. Like I said, they were not given Christian burials. They were not worthy of them.
Well, they were witches.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. But some of the key figures responsible for the witch trials are buried there. And one of the people laid to rest is Judge Hawthorne, or the hanging judge.
Yeah.
Many visitors have reported Judge Hawthorne appearing on their film after a night spending photographing photographing.
Yep.
Yes.
Technical term.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the pros say it.
He's photographing fairies. Yeah.
Photographing, yes, different graves. Some have even reported spirits from the cemetery following them home.
And a ghost will follow you home. So that's the Haunted Mansion.
Yes,
Sorry,
I
I'm
love
a
it.
psychopath.
Old Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Good old Nathaniel.
is the great-great-grandson of the judge that's buried there. Yes, he changed the spelling of his name
because he didn't.
because he did not want to be associated with the witch trials.
He's like, no.
Right.
Fun fact. Yeah. Okay. So he of his great-great-grandfather, he said that he made himself so conspicuous in the martyrdom of witches that their blood may fairly be said to have left a stain on him. Ooh.
Okay.
So maybe he cursed himself, I think is what he's saying.
That's interesting.
Yep. Now, the last place I'm going to talk about. Meow. Anyone
That's the haunted cat.
Yeah.
Ghost cat.
Ghost cat. Ghost cat. Hashtag ghost cat. Meow. Okay. Okay, so, Caitlin, do you know the playground that I'm going to be talking about? You don't know Gallows Hill Playground?
No.
Oh, yeah. I've
Yes,
seen
I think we probably drove by it on the way to Salem. Yes, there is a playground called Gallows Hill Playground, which is where they thought that the gallows were. And so now, of course, in Massachusetts fashion, what do? We build a playground on it.
Yeah, well.
Hey, kitties. Let's go have some fun.
Down.
Yeah, it freaked my kids out. Every time they saw the sign, they were like, why would anyone play there?
In Whitechapel, London, which is where fuck off. Which is where the Jet Ripper murders were.
Yes.
One of the victims where she was found is now a school playground.
Yeah. Was it named after her?
No.
Okay.
No,
they didn't call it prostitute playground.
Prostitute playground.
No, but it's
prostitute playground.
Yeah,
I'm just picturing a bunch of prostitutes playing, like Victorian era prostitutes, like seesaw.
They're on the round thing that spins.
Yeah. Faster.
Oh, that's what she said.
Nice.
Okay. So Gallows Hill was originally where they thought the gallows were, but actually historians have done more research and they think that is not the place. And I won't go into all of the facts about why they think that.
They think it's Danvers, right? Isn't it actually all that stuff took place in a different town that is now a different town? Some of
the things that was a part of the witch trial, yes, did take place in Danvers.
Well, they knew where Giles Corey was pressed to death, though, didn't they? So I mean,
they have theories about where they think they were pressed.
Yeah.
I think with Giles there was more
weight,
more description,
more weight, darling.
There was more description because it was different than all of the others. So I think
it stood out a bit.
It did, and it was the last. He was the last one to die, and because of the way that it happened, it caused people to say, "Whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. We need to stop this."
Right.
So he had a big impact on it, and so I think it was recorded more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
There were different accounts of people that were there, and they were related to. People that were related to people that had been there in the 1700s. They wrote about what these people had said about where it was. And so they had said, one woman had said something like, we could see, the Gallows Hill from our house near this river, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so they went and looked back at old maps and they realized that what we call Gallows Hill now was never by a river. And they figured out from different accounts where it should be. So... It's a small hill. Mm-hmm. You'll know where this is.
I will.
Between Proctor Street and Pope Street, and it's right behind the Walgreens. On the corner, there's the Walgreens, there's a Dunkin' Donuts across the street.
Yay!
You go up Proctor Street, is a little hill, you go up, and you get to the Salem North Shore Hospital.
Yes.
That Walgreens is right behind that Walgreens.
Oh,
yes. It's fenced off. And they have signs don't come up here, blah, blah, blah. But there is a rock ledge and then kind of a crevice. And the reports had said that they were on this hill and they described the rock crevice, and that after they were hung, they threw the bodies down in the crevice.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
So now people, and then another report said that there were two, I can't remember, is a specific type of tree, that there were two trees planted where the bodies had been flung. And people have said, other reports that said, yes, there were two trees that were planted there, these particular types of trees. But other people say there was no evidence of human remains found there.
Right.
Like they've looked, they can't
Right.
find human remains there, basically.
Yeah.
But this is where most historians now believe that the gallows were. So a lot of people say it's super haunted.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel a very dark, negative energy in this place.
Yeah.
Right.
Understandable if this is the place where you're hanging
Right.
people.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even people who love ghost stories will say, or ghost hunting will say, it's a
Really?
dark place. Yeah,
Let's
it's
go.
a dark place. Yeah, I'll totally go.
do it.
So there you have it. Haunted Salem.
Haunted Salem.
Wow.
Hashtag ghost cat.
I gotta say, excellent work, Lynn.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, thank you.
You got me shaking
Yeah.
in my boots.
Shake it in your boots.
What?
Shaking
Yeah,
in
I
your
mean,
boots.
I didn't realise there was so many ghost stories. Just
Yeah,
so
there's
I didn't
tons.
realise.
And there's more. Yeah, there's
Tons.
more than that. Definitely. It's yeah. You could just Google it and you find all these different.
Yeah.
You have to remember too, like especially here in the East Coast, a lot of our towns are old in comparison to a lot of places in the U.S. You know,
Right.
relatively speaking, these are the
Yes,
oldest towns in
Mhm.
the U.S.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened here, and Salem had such an impact on society. What happened? The witch trials had such a huge impact. I mean, it's 300 and almost 50 years later, and we're still talking about it. We still,
Yeah.
and so I think anything like that type of energy that we're still feeding into, if you believe that energy and intention, creates energy, we're all still feeding into it. People flock there in October, like so many
Right.
people.
Right.
So all of this energy is combining, and
Yeah.
it's not surprising.
I remember saying to you, Lynn, I think we were walking around that bit where you see the stones,
Mhm.
where each stone has got the name of
Oh yeah, the memorial.
the victim, or the witch accused, whatever. I think I remember saying to you then, do you think, if you go back to 1692, and then you walk down the main bit where, there's hundreds and hundreds of people dressed as witches and wizards.
Yeah,
and,
now there is,
all that. So, every shop is selling, witchy stuff. And
Right.
those girls, all they were doing is, going around pointing at people saying, he's a witch, she's a witch, she's a witch. They had no idea that hundreds of years later, that what they created was
Right,
like
It's like a mecca for witches now.
just what they were doing is like sowing the seed of what is to become this sort of manic, crazy town
Right. Yeah.
of witches, and when all they were doing is walking from door to door going witch,
Right.
witch,
Yeah.
witchery, witch, and had they, I bet it never even entered their minds the impact that would have.
Oh God, no.
Well, back then you couldn't openly admit to being a witch either, because obviously you got to be hung. But I think that witches, like modern day witches, have now reclaimed that witch title.
Right.
Because of the witch trials. I think there's such a strong feeling about, the persecution that these people.
So what, I mean, a lot is spoken about the victims, but what happened to the girls that we were accusing?
Nothing.
Yeah, see, that's terrible. I mean, it's just.
Well, because it was still believed. Everyone still believed that, even though it was just mass hysteria, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Mass hysteria is one of my favorite weird, human things. Or not just mass hysteria, but the need to do what other people are doing around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird human instinct.
Yeah, but they're like fucking sheep.
Yes, sheeple. They call them sheeple.
Yeah.
And there's a video online of this one woman, and everyone else is so it's a random woman, and then everyone else in the waiting room, it's a waiting room, is a paid actor or whatever.
Right.
And she goes and she sits down, and then everyone in the room just randomly stands up, and she looks at them first, and then they sit down, and then a couple minutes go by, and then they stand up again, and she stands up. And it's the most interesting, simple experiment of human instinct to do what other people are doing around.
Yeah.
So like that's it's the Salem witch trials is like the beginning sort of like, well, not the beginning. I'm sure it's happened a lot throughout history and time, but it's just such an interesting thing to me that because I am the person that if everyone stood up, I would lay on the ground.
Right.
Because I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't want it. But like,
I'm not standing.
that's too much.
Right.
Work.
It's too much work.
So it's just interesting to me, like the mentality behind people who do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those girls they were probably thinking, well, I'd rather be in the circle pointing at others than having people pointing at me.
Well, that's the other thing too, is anyone who spoke out about it was then accused of being a witch.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have much choice but to go along with it.
Yeah.
What were they going to do? Then they were putting their own lives at risk.
Yeah.
They're probably too frightened to sort of
absolutely
jump out of the group. Yeah.
Humans are.
They have a lot to answer to.
True.
And I wonder if they if they took this conscience to the graves of their own, you know.
Probably.
I mean, I think that's probably why so many people claim to see these people that were involved with the sentencing of them is, maybe that's their own hell, to use a term that I, hate, but maybe that's their own punishment is that they have to now kind of roam around and imagine these people who are convicting people of being witches and now having to see what Salem has become.
Right.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
The Mecca for fucking
weirdos. If their spirit is still in the town, they're thinking, fucking hell, look what we did.
Right. I mean, you see witches walking down the street all the time. I mean, plenty of people are there that are witches that you wouldn't even know, but there are people who dress the part, and you see them black cloaks and all kinds of crazy, especially in Salem. October, everybody is wearing a witch hat. Whether a little one or a big one, it's
or cloak or whatever.
All shapes and sizes.
Yeah. It's a little guy, it's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a captain.
So there you have it. It's a captain.
Good job, Lynn.
Thanks, man. Oh, slow
bravo, Lynn.
I don't know if it was that good, but thanks.
I think it was good.
Thanks.
There it is.
Museum.
Witch magnet. I liked it. I think it's a good kickoff to our October. I just fucking smashed my knee on the table so hard. I think that was a great start to our October Spook Fest.
Yeah, sure. Spook Fest.
I don't like that name at all. I don't like it. Scary series.
There you go.
The Skiwi Seawees. Yep. So do all the stuff that I fucking tell you to do every time. Or if not, I'm going to find you and I'm going to stone you to death. Wait, you fucking pieces of crap. That's a love term in my household. So thanks for listening. Thanks for doing all the shit. Follow us on all the social crap. Like our stuff. Tell your friends.
Tell your doctor.
Oh yeah, doctor. Tell Bill Wilkins. Tell your local witch. Tell your local witches and warlocks and your ghosties, because ghosts like podcasts too.
Sure.
And it's Halloween season, so you just go off and you just have a spooky session and go and fuck yourselves. Thank you. Goodbye, bitches. Goodbye, witches. Goodbye, witches.
Goodbye, sweethearts. Yeah, lovely.
Bill Wilkins. Wow.
More stones on me, me old governor.
More weight. That's me every day. Every time I eat a donut. More weight. And then I eat more pizza. All right. Okay. You ready? Are you ready? Ready? Am I ready? We're ready? Okay, go.
Welcome to...
I'm sorry.
Go to you.
It was dramatic. Yeah.
Okay, straight face.